The American dream, a promise of achieving a prosperous standard of living that has attracted millions of people to the United States, has been the hope for individuals to ascend the socioeconomic ladder. But today, it seems increasingly out of reach for Americans.
The notion of fair play, the idea that your efforts would be commensurate with your success, has never been more of a farce.
Saving the American dream. Thousands of striking auto workers hold up signs with that slogan as they fight for better wages and better working conditions.
When times are tight, some families get tighter. And in today's economy, that's becoming the new normal.
The promise that your kids will do better than you. That was the definition of the American dream. That's what made America different than the rest of the world.
The American dream may not be as easy to define or to achieve as it once was.
Previously, a six-figure salary was considered the gold standard in terms of income, but today, a $100,000 annual salary is not enough to cover all the needs of Americans. 26% of Americans say they would need to earn more than $100,000 to feel financially comfortable.
A six-figure salary may not go as far as you think.
Over half of Americans earning a six-figure salary report that they're actually living paycheck to paycheck.
Over the last 50 years, wages have not kept pace with the cost of living, making it harder for American families to maintain their standard of living.
The burden of record-high inflation has continued to push the limits for people across the country.
Working homeless in the United States, people who work many times in a full-time job but who cannot afford to live in the area where they're employed.
A recent study revealed that in 38 of the 50 states, an annual salary of at least $140,000 is required to cover all household needs. In the more affordable states, an annual salary of at least $109,000 is needed. So, why can a $100,000 annual salary no longer buy the American dream? The American dream defines what a middle-class lifestyle is: being able to pay bills, ensure food and housing for the family, and have additional savings. In the last 50 years, the financial lifestyle of Americans has undergone significant transformations, influenced by changes in the economy, demographics, and social policy.
For the seventh and final time this year, the Federal Reserve is set to make it more expensive to borrow money.
Soaring energy prices are driving up the cost of heating your home. For American households using natural gas, families will spend 30% more on average. Heating oil and electricity also on the rise.
Since 1971, the pattern of wealth has changed drastically, reflecting a widening wealth gap, especially among different educational levels and age groups. For example, in 2023, younger families between 25 and 35 years old had considerably lower net worth compared to older families showing a lack of wealth growth in younger generations.
The cost of housing is having a major impact on young people, forcing many to move back home.
Nearly half of Gen Zers between the ages of 18 and 29 are still living with their parents. Numbers like this haven't been seen since the Great Depression in the 1940s.
Over half the respondents between the ages of 24 and 35 don't expect to do better financially than their parents.
According to the Census Bureau, the median household income in the United States was $74,580, showing a 2.3% decrease from the previous year. Additionally, inflation and the rising cost of living have diminished the purchasing power of wages. For example, housing prices have increased significantly, making homeownership inaccessible for many. The increase in healthcare costs and basic services also contribute to the insufficiency of a $100,000 salary to cover all the needs of a middle-class household in the United States.
The concern over gas and oil imports is just one of the many reasons why prices keep going up at the pump. In the last 24 hours, specifically, gas prices have gone up another 12 cents per gallon.
Moreover, saving patterns have changed significantly in recent years, with a high prevalence of insufficient emergency savings among certain demographic groups. In 2023, only about 49% of households in the United States had enough liquid savings to sustain a month's income, indicating considerable financial vulnerability, especially among minority families.
Americans say they are behind on their emergency savings.
Half of all Americans cannot pay an unexpected $1,000 expense.
With about a 24% increase in college costs, debt burdens, particularly student loans, have also increased, mainly affecting millennials, who face larger amounts of debt compared to previous generations and expect to spend many more years paying it off.
College graduates are drowning in debt. In fact, in the past 20 years, the average student debt has more than tripled and now tops $30,000.
Despite the varying cost of living across different states, previously, a six-figure salary was the gold standard. But today, it may not be enough to make ends meet in certain parts of the country, especially in places like New York or San Francisco, where the cost of living is much higher. A study by GoBankingRates demonstrated that all 50 states require more than $100,000 in annual income to cover the basic expenses of a family of four. In 38 states, more than $140,000 annually is needed to reach a standard of living associated with the American dream or middle class. However, in more affordable states like Mississippi, Arkansas, and Kentucky, between $109,000 and $117,000 is required. In contrast, the median income for a family of four in those states is between $71,000 and $87,000, suggesting that many families do not meet the financial threshold necessary for the American dream in those locations. On the other hand, in states described as the most expensive, such as Hawaii, California, and Massachusetts, an income of more than $240,000 is necessary to achieve the American dream. However, the median income for a family of four in these states in 2023 was at least $94,000 less than required, indicating an even more significant gap between median and necessary incomes for an idealized lifestyle in those states.
Hawaii is the least affordable state in the country, according to the Lensic Careers Board national study.
A new report claims Hawaii residents are paying 80% more than the national average to live here.
According to the California Association of Realtors, you need to make at least $300,000 a year to buy a home right now in 4 of our Bay Area counties.
These trends suggest significant changes in the economic landscape that affect various demographic groups and have implications for long-term financial stability, especially for the younger generations. Although $100,000 a year was once the gold standard for a comfortable economic life, today, this amount may not be enough in many parts of the United States. The American dream, with its promise of equal opportunity and financial stability, is faltering